today's video is going to be for, it's upside down, Eclipse. I finally am getting to film this video where I'm sitting down and actually doing the talking part of the Eclipse video for the first time reading series. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first I'm going to show you guys all of the vlog footage of me reading it. There's less footage this time than there has been in the past two. Sorry, life was a little crazy. I also meant to do one of these first time reading videos for It by Stephen King as a first time reading horror slash first time reading Stephen King. But yeah, that did not happen, so I apologize. I'm a loser. What can I say? So I'm back with regular videos though, and therefore need to continue on with my series, right? So yeah, let's do the things. Why do I get the feeling that Bella should be listening to her instincts instead of actually like letting Edward convince her that Alice's vision is what he said? Because to me, for some reason, I'm getting these instincts that she should be worried and that he's trying to, like, you know, lie to her again. So, I mean, I don't know why she just, like, went with it that easily. Like, I don't know. I have this theory, this little suspicion about that being accurate. So, we'll see. So, things are happening. Finally, I'm on page 80, and turns out Victoria has come back for her again. Shocker. But basically, things are finally now happening in the story and in the plot. So that's nice. But this whole, like, Jacob, like, being Jacob, and then Edward, like, lying to Bella thing. I don't know why she's with either of them. I don't get it. They're both not nice to her. So why be with either of them? Doesn't make sense to me. Hey guys, so I'm super confused right now. I'm at the part where Jacob is explaining imprinting to Bella, but it doesn't really make sense. It's like he's talking about like a romantic thing. Have you ever heard of imprinting? Imprinting, no, it's one of those bizarre things. So it's like how they find a mate? I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm confused. This one is definitely probably my least favorite so far, just because of how many problematic elements there are, in my opinion. Like, so far, I'm really just not liking it. So I was totally right, and Rosalie is totally jealous that Edward wants Bella and not her, even though she isn't in love with him though. But I was still right about the fact that there was some jealousy. So Quill just imprinted on Claire, and Jacob is telling Bella about it, and now I'm starting to understand a little bit better of how the imprinting thing works and why it makes sense. So, to be honest, I really do think that Bella and Edward are actually really precious together. Edward was like, you know, you're right. I'm, you know, gonna, like, not try to fight this anymore. I'm gonna let you be who you are, be friends with who you want to be friends with, you know, that type of thing. And it's so cute. Like, they're actually good together. While Bella was away, somebody was at her house and went through her things apparently, and Charlie was there, but thankfully he was still safe and they didn't harm him, so they're trying to figure out who it could have been. It was definitely a vampire though. So they ruled out Victoria already, and they ruled out the Volturi as well. So we don't know who it is or why. So now Edward and Jacob are like in the midst of like a truce of sorts. It's like they're working together to make Bella or to keep Bella safe. And honestly, it makes me happy. Like that they're finally getting along for a change. So we just got all of Jasper's backstory and everything. And I have a theory about this army. I think Victoria could be the one that is creating the army. The whole Jacob kissing Bella thing. Genuinely, I can't. How can you ship Jacob and Bella when Jacob does nothing but violate her personal happiness constantly with trying to pressure her into something that she doesn't want, that she doesn't feel? She doesn't love him that way. She loves him like a brother, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that should be okay, and he should be able to accept that and move on. But instead of accepting that and moving on, he continues to pressure her when she just genuinely doesn't reciprocate that feeling. And furthermore, he kisses her. Like, that is a violation of her actual human. She completely and 100% has grounds for a restraining order, and yet people are so Team Jacob and everything. He is such an immature character, so disrespectful to Bella. He doesn't treat her right at all. Like, he at least realizes that Jacob wouldn't, doesn't really love her the same way that Edward does, that he wouldn't, give up the fight, wouldn't stay just because she wanted him to be safe. Now Bella thinks that she's actually also in love with Jacob, so it's finally actually a love triangle. If you don't know that you love somebody until you've kissed them, then you don't love them, you lust them. Of course, Jacob is the one that got hurt. So I'm really confused as to what could possibly go down in the last book. But now I'm thinking that this is where the actual love triangle is going to occur, is the end of this book and the beginning of the next book. And I think maybe it will still involve the Volturi. I think maybe Bella won't turn until the beginning of the next book. Okay, so by watching that vlog footage, you were able to kind of see my thoughts as we went through on plot things and stuff like that mostly. So now I'm going to sit down and talk about more of the things in the writing, character development, relationship development, platonic wise, and romantic development. So let's do it. I didn't have any quotes for this one. Either nothing stuck out to me, or I just wasn't really thinking about it, one or the other, probably a mixture of the two. I'll skip right ahead into writing. Found that it was still very artful. I had a few examples of that. So there's this one line on, I'm just going off of the page numbers that are in this copy, just to give you an idea, but this is just like the regular hardback copy that like everybody had. Page 182. The silence after his declaration felt very loud. I really liked that line. Page 319, she uses this example of pushing magnets together to represent her trying to kind of bring Jacob and Edward together so that she can be friends with Jacob and be in a relationship with Edward and have them both in her life at the same time. I really liked the way that she said in that part, she said, trying to force nature to reverse herself. Page 608, she brought the analogy back in about the magnets. She actually brought that back in at the end of the book. Another thing, again, she adds a lot of detail, that she gives explanations for things and how the world works. On page 216, an example of that is the wolves actually having to carry the clothing that they were wearing when they were in their human form. On page 317,
we learned why newborn vampires are so strong, and it's because they still have so much human blood in their body. We used that as a way to build the tension even more, because we had all of these super strong and powerful newborns that we were going to be dealing with. We finally got an explanation as to why Bella's not exempt to Alice's power, although I feel that she still has a little bit of a plot hole happening because Jasper's power does work on Bella, and I feel like that works inside the mind. The whole concept was that Edward's power works inside the mind and Jane's power works inside the mind to trick you into thinking that you're hurt or whatever. And you get the idea. The point is that it works inside the brain, right? So I get it, because Alice's doesn't, except for Jasper's does, I think, work inside the mind. And Jasper's works on Bella. There were still a few annoying things about the writing, the main one being that she added in an alternate version of the breath I didn't know I was holding line. 270, if you don't know what that line is, read Cassandra Clare's writing and Sarah J. Maas's writing and most writing in YA. The line, I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. It's so like unrealistic. And it said, I exhaled a big gust. How long had I been I exhaled a big gust. How long had I been holding my breath? Let's move on from writing into character development. One of the things that I saw in character development was Bella experienced this thing where somehow for some reason she thought that she was suddenly so responsible and mature, which I don't understand. This is something I saw at the beginning of the book on page 45. It's referencing that like the time when she was like really close with Jacob and like before Edward came back and all of that, which was just a few months ago. She's saying that she was so like immature then, as if she's become so mature in the past like what, 3 months maybe. Other examples of immaturity for Bella, tries to trick Alice's power by making a split-second decision, and that's going to keep Alice from being able to see what she's doing. But that doesn't make any sense, because the way that Alice's power works is that when somebody makes a decision, her decision to make that split-second change is how Alice would have been able to see it. So I don't understand. That was on page 99. On page 402, Bella trying to get Edward to sit out of the fight. That's another sign of immaturity. Like, dude, this isn't just about you. There are other people at risk here. Probably the biggest example is page 525. She uses kissing Jacob as a manipulation tool. She uses that to manipulate Jacob to do what she wants him to do. There's so much wrong with that, of course, and you guys know, I mean, I don't think that Bella loves Jacob at all. In that aspect, she loves him as a friend. She's not in love with him. They've tricked her into thinking that she's in love with him, but I'm still not convinced at all that she's in love with him. Regardless of the fact that there are some major elements of Bella's immaturity standing out, there is this one thing that I do think is true, that Bella did learn a lot during the progress from the beginning to the end of this story, this book, and I think that she did grow as a person, but trying to seek middle ground in between Jacob and Edward to try to work things out so that she can have her friend and so everything. So like she's trying to find middle ground. That was page 39. Through the story of the werewolves and everything, the third wife really stands out to Bella, and she really recognizes the power of sacrifice, which is 260. She had a moment where she realized, and she was actually afraid of what she wanted, because there's a danger to becoming a vampire for her. Not necessarily in the physical aspect or anything like that, but she was going to be losing Jacob and Charlie and Renee. You know, she's losing these important people that matter in her life that she's not going to be able to see again. You know, she could take her head out of Edward's butt for a second and notice the people around her that actually have been there for her even longer than Edward. My favorite thing was that 611, she realizes that she's screwed up hardcore and she's made a mess of things. She doesn't necessarily understand how so, and I think that she misunderstands how she's made a mess of things, but at least she understands that she has had some screw-ups. I don't think she necessarily, like I said, sees the right screw-ups, and I think it has to do with the whole Jacob versus Edward thing, more so than actually, wow, you just keep screwing up in general. But it's better to at least notice something and that you're messing up at some point than to think you're just perfectly fine and you've not done anything wrong, right? Better to notice a little bit than nothing at all. 619, Bella decides to do things the responsible and right way by putting off sex until after marriage. I really enjoyed seeing that because it's something that you don't see a lot in YA. And I really enjoyed it in the fact that, to me, I think that's what's right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh, a sex shaming thing or a slut shaming thing like that. Like a lot of readers will complain about. I don't think it is. I think, people can have different morals and we don't have to agree, but a writer should be allowed to express that this is what they think is right. Another thing we experienced was Jacob. We saw a very large, excessive amount of negative things out of Jacob throughout this book, which I didn't like. I did not like at all. Like, we're supposed to believe that by the end of this book, Bella realizes that she's in love with this kid, and yet this entire story, he's done nothing but hurt her and cause her turmoil. If you love somebody, if you actually love somebody enough, then if he loved her, then he would notice enough that he was causing her more harm than good in her situation. Here are some of the things that he did that I didn't like. Comments about fighting Edward. 115. Conceited thoughts and comments about her thinking about him before she goes to sleep. That's on page 333. Continuing to push about things and assuming that there's a choice to be made as if she actually is choosing between him and Edward, which she's not, because she's with Edward and she's continuously and repeatedly saying no to Jacob. So, like, no, stop it. Rather than being more focused on protecting Bella when there's danger coming at her from multiple sides, he's more worried about this romance and his feelings for her. We did get a glimpse of the possibility of him finally moving on, though. We saw that. I knew it was a long shot, not your fault, Bella. Blah blah blah. On page 505 or 506, I can't read my writing there. I also wanted to point out in character development, we have Charlie. We saw a very negative side of Charlie in the way that he responded when Jacob and Bella came home when Bella's hand was broken, and instead of being more concerned about Bella's injury and the fact that it was technically partially Jacob's fault, and the fact that Jacob was disrespectful to her and forcibly kissed her when she did not want to be kissed. Like, that's assault. That's freaking assault. And her dad laughs about it and says, "Good for you, kid." We did get a positive character development of getting to know Jasper's past a little bit, which was pretty cool. We got to see that the Cullens are more determined to stay true to who they are than to have consumed blood prior to the battle to make themselves stronger. I really enjoyed seeing that. We also see some growth in Edward's character. We see that he wants to protect Bella's virtue and why that matters to him beyond just the protecting of her physically when it comes to sexual things, or the protecting of her in the sense that he wants to use it to make her, you know, be married to him and like have like some human life first before she becomes a vampire, and all of that. Like beyond that, like he simply wants to protect her virtue, like that being an important part of why is just really sweet to me and a good thing, and I really appreciated and enjoyed that. Also, I love that he's understanding about why Bella is so confused in regards to Jacob. I think that, like I said, she's confused. She doesn't love him. She's not in love with him, but she's confused because Jacob was there for her during a time when Edward was not. So let's talk about some platonic relationship development. So it started out with a positive that Bella seemed to be reaching out towards her friends again, but it was really short-lived. I was really sad. Like, she had this nice little chat with Angela, but then that was like it, and we didn't see those friends literally the rest of the book. The next time any of them were mentioned was there was something about some concert tickets, which I don't remember anything about at all. I did see some development between Alice and Bella, which was kind of fun. We saw some cute little things like Alice getting Bella something to wear to the graduation party, which was kind of cute. Between Bella and Jacob, we had some development there as well. She says, I don't want you around for the same reason you want me around. For you're 29, you wouldn't stay with me even if I begged. So basically, she's saying, look, you wouldn't make this sacrifice for me. You don't love me the way you think you do because you wouldn't make this sacrifice for me. The werewolves and the vampires are working together to protect Bella and protect the area, to protect Forks, because it's not just Bella that's being protected, it's all of Forks. So it kind of bugs me that it's like this whole thing of like, oh, they're protecting Bella, because it, you know, literally, that's literally the only other plot there is Bella's romantic life and Bella being safe. That's kind of annoying, and it's not true that Bella's the only one at risk here. So it's kind of annoying that it's kind of played that way, as if it's just Bella that needs to be protected. Now let's move into the final category, which is going to be romance. We get to hear about imprinting. We get to meet two characters where imprinting has happened. I really liked the line that was used here, although I'm not sure how I feel about the concept of imprinting. It seems a little forceful to me and a little bit like an arranged marriage, but the line was really cute. He's a blind man seeing for the first time is one of a blind man seeing the sun for the first time is one of the analogies that she used to describe the way that he looked at her, which I thought was really sweet. The other thing I really enjoyed was Bella and Edward actually talked through why he doesn't want her to be changed into a vampire. Jacob actually tells Bella that he's in love with her, even though he's wrong and he just thinks he's in love with her, but it still happened, and so I put it under the romantic category, even though I really think it's completely inaccurate. After the whole Jacob forcibly kissing Bella, I'm gonna call it the assault. After the assault, Bella calls Edward and he comes right away. He doesn't hesitate. He's right there. I love that. And again, we have Edward turning her down about sex because he loves her. Problematic elements is next, so let's talk about them. Bella kind of lets Edward decide things for her towards the beginning and like control her. Page 33. There were several mental health comments, and I'm really sick of seeing that in books. It really bothers me a lot. It's not okay. It's not okay. Example, page 33. Another example, page 95. Another example, page 96. Page 222. Page 523. Another thing I think is a plot hole is the fact that Charlie never picks up on the fact that Edward doesn't eat. Like, mentioned earlier in the video was the whole thing where they explained why Alice's power doesn't work on Bella, but they never explained why Jasper's does. I think I said Alice's doesn't. I meant Alice's does work on her, but they never explained why Jasper's does too. Words are hard right now, okay? In the way that Jacob and Charlie joke after Charlie finds out about the kiss. I find it completely inappropriate, unacceptable, and definitely problematic. There's a sexist comment on page 263. Jacob kind of implies to Bella that he would like let himself get killed during the battle, over her and like their whole thing and blah blah blah. That's so problematic in so many ways, and I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm just, that happened and it's wrong. What I have is the second Jacob and Bella kiss, where she uses it as a manipulation tool, and also he lets her use it as a tool of manipulation. I'm not gonna get into it again, but you get the point. Film wise, I feel like the movies are going downhill, which is sad. The second one I feel like was the best so far. So that's everything. More and more tired of the series as it goes on because it's more of the same. So that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks for your patience with me today. I know I was a little today, and yeah, and also for my hair, it looks not like a fit. See you guys very soon with another video.